Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and welcome to the stage. It's the San Francisco Shock. Now, the San Francisco Shock has 9 members on their roster, but only 7 in the active lineup. You got Super, you got Sinatra waiting for their 18th birthday. They're sitting on the bench right now. Sideshow, do you feel this team is coming into day one a bit restricted?
It is a little bit restricted. They have one superstar DPS player that they like to play around, and we've really only seen one look from San Francisco Shock so far. They've built it around Baby Bay, and the teams that have been able to look around that, it seems to be a bit of a weakness, but they have played the style very well.
Now, Bren, these guys went 1 and 2 throughout the preseason. Who impressed you in their wins?
Oh, it's got to be Sleepy. I mean, the guy on the flex support, he was a bit of an unknown quantity coming into the preseason, and he's actually showed up massively, much more than people were expecting, but also Baby Bay, and that's the guy right there on your cameras. As you can see, this guy was incredible on the Widowmaker, hitting heads all day long.
He really was, but again, this could be an issue for them because when they played against London Spitfire during the preseason, they identified Baby Bay as the biggest threat on the team. They shut him down repeatedly, over and over again, and then San Francisco, they had nothing to fall back on.
Star-studded lineup, especially that man there that Bren mentioned. Keep your eyes on Sleepy, a stellar, fantastic support player. That's the San Francisco Shock, but it's time to introduce the squad that took him out in the preseason. Please put your hands together for our LA team. It's the Los Angeles Valiant. Now, this 10-man active roster edged out the Shock in the preseason, and they were just one of 3 teams to go undefeated.
That's correct. They were undefeated. However, the match they did play against San Francisco Shock has been a lot closer than it should have been. They were the favorite going into that matchup, and they didn't expect the outcome to be a lot more convincing. So I do think that the Los Angeles Valiant are here and are trying to redeem themselves.
Sideshow, is this a playoff caliber team?
I think they'll definitely be hoping for that. The first thing to mention is that they haven't played against Dallas Fuel yet or any of the Korean teams. But this core has been one of the best teams in North America throughout 2017, and they have added in some fantastic new additions. They can now play with agilities. They've got Unko, Soon, Silk Thread. This should really prop up the Los Angeles Valiant.
Oh, I'm glad you've mentioned Soon, actually, because that's the one player I want everybody to be looking out for in these games. Soon is one of the best tracers, I feel like, in this league, and he's had an amazing performance throughout his entire Overwatch career. He was on Rogue, one of the most dominant European Overwatch teams of the history of Overwatch so far, and now he's coming into this team and he's going to be adding a lot.
Is he only on Tracer today? Do we see more Widow? What do you want to see out of Soon?
I mean, he's been flexing to all sorts. He's been on the Widowmaker, even pulling out McCree every now and then. I mean, the guy is actually very flexible, but he traditionally sticks to that Tracer role more often than not.
Now, Sideshow, we mentioned it briefly before. We saw this matchup in the preseason, but it was a very tired San Francisco Shock that played 9 straight games. For anyone that missed the preseason, give us a real quick recap. How did things play out?
Yeah, when these two teams matched up before, a lot of the styles that they were playing were a little bit more scrappy. And when they had the ability to play that kind of style, San Francisco Shock did look really good in those games. Baby Bay was getting a lot of value out of the Widowmaker picks he had, but as soon as they moved over to more aggressive compositions, stuff like Dive, stuff like Reinhard Zarya, that was where Los Angeles Valiant pulled it out. And they had big clutch performances as well.
So we talked to one of the assistant coaches, Harsha, from the San Francisco Shock. He said, you know what, we were fatigued, we weren't making the shot calls that we needed to, and we just had too many sloppy plays. I want to get your predictions after seeing the teams practice, knowing they're coming in fresh with a lot of time to prepare. Which way are you leaning for the rematch?
I think for me, this got to be the Valiant. I do think that this is going to be a lot more convincing than what we did see during the preseason. I do believe it's going to be a 3-1 or even as far as a 4-0.
Bren?
That's
I know.
That's very
Statement.
confident, Zoe. Very confident. For me personally, I'm going to go over 3-2 to Valiant. I think it's going to be a very close game. We've seen the matchup in the preseason before, and it's going to be a very similar match to the one we've previously seen.
Sideshow?
Yeah, I think given that they only had one style, San Francisco Shock, coming into the preseason, if they've managed to flesh that out a bit more, they could make it this one very, very close. I'm also going to go with a 3-2 game, but to the Los Angeles Valiant as well.
I want to test the crowd. How many of you guys out there are cheering on the San Francisco Shock in this matchup? Who's here to cheer on the hometown team of the Los Angeles Valiant? We got a lot of Valiant fans. It is time to get this one started and to bring you all the action for the first match of the Overwatch League. It's Monty and Doa.
Hey guys, that's right. We are here finally ready to get things started in our very first match of the inaugural season of the Overwatch League. Doe and Monte Cristo here. San Francisco Shock versus LA Valiant. Couldn't think of a better way to start it off.
Nice to see the home team. You and I got to announce the Overwatch League back in 2016 at the World Cup. Now we're here, and we really couldn't be more excited.
That's right. So let's check out the rosters for these teams, starting with San Francisco Shock. That's who they are starting with today. Not too surprising, really, here.
No, not at all. Dante will be in, at least for the first game, instead of IDD Cutie.
Yep.
But otherwise, what we would have expected from this roster, for the most part, again, a bit of a toss-up at that Tracer role.
That's right. And on the other side of the arena, the LA Valiant getting ready themselves. This team has, they're in an interesting spot because DPS-wise, they've got some choices, don't they? They're going with agilities, despite Silkthread having a really good preseason, I'd say.
He definitely did have a great preseason, but that usually means we're going to see some more of the Genji play, which Silkthread did excel on.
Yeah.
But coming into this match, agilities and soon the Tracer Genji combination should be looking at some nice dive compositions.
That's right. And so what would a match be without some maps? And there are the four of them we're going to check out today. Dorado going to be kicking things off with our escort map, not our export map. Anubis, our assault map, coming up after that. And as you can see, we're going to do a 4-map set. So basically, oh man, I love that stuff. Sorry, I get distracted by the way our arena looks. It looks so good, guys.
Important to note that in this first matchup that we saw in the preseason, they did not play Dorado, but they did play 2 of the maps we will be seeing in Ilios and Numbani. And when we talk about the style of these teams, certainly San Francisco was tired playing those 9 consecutive maps, and there was a bit of sloppy play from both sides, but in different ways. We saw the Shock, they would often have powerful attacks that would break through on their first attempt, and they would end up with large time banks, but they would often struggle to close even with 5-6 minutes in that time bank as the Valiant was standing strong. On the other side, we saw the Valiant often struggle to get rolling, but in overtime, when they were on their final push, they often won those fights. So what I want to see today, San Francisco, I think we need to see them start to pool their ultimates with their leads and make more convincing attacks. And for Valiant, I think we need to see them all in sooner, because when they all commit, that's when they were the most effective.
Well, one of the things that surprised me a lot, actually, as we see our teams getting set up here, San Francisco Shock on the attack, Valiant on the defense, is that Valiant, like you mentioned, did end up giving the first point on maps up really quickly, and that wasn't just in their match against Shock. That seemed to kind of pervade the preseason for them. So why do you think that is?
Well, I think that it was partially that this roster was still gelling. Soon and Uncle were new additions. They didn't have agilities who's been playing with Fate, because when we talk about the Valiant, it's about their aggressive engages. When they were successful as part of that Immortals roster, it was Fate coming in with agilities with the Dragon Blade right on his heels.
Agility's on that Genji, as we see, and Baby Bay on the McCree here, so not going with the Widowmaker like LA Valiant may have expected, but it's time to get things started in our first map of the Overwatch League. Let's do it. Payload moving forward a little bit more, on board with Nomi as he looks for an opportunity to dive up here.
And as you're noticing, Doa, yes, we often see in this patch a lot of Widowmaker on this first point in Dorado, but instead they've decided to go with Baby Bay on that McCree. They're trying to control the Tracer flanks, get the crowd control if Soon goes too deep.
Yeah, trying to displace from the high ground too. A couple kills for San Francisco Shock already. In fact, both supports taken down. Disaster for Valiant, as San Francisco may have a pretty easy push here for the first part of point A.
Yeah, trying to stall as long as they can. Soon is one of the best players on Tracer at stalling. At stalling the cart. But it's not going to be for very long here. And this is what we're used to seeing from San Francisco. When the gates open, very powerful first pushes. What we have to wait for is when they get reset, when they lose a fight, are they able to come back convincingly?
On board with Sleepy now. This guy got a lot of good picks on the Zenyatta during the preseason too. A player that I think a lot of people were underestimating. Baby Bay just trying to zone out Valiant with that Deadeye as they roll towards the end of point A, but LA gonna come in anyway, try to stop that payload. Nice flashbang onto Envy as he pushes him back. D-Mex, there's the self-destruct coming in now, and Agilities has the Dragon Blade out, gets a couple with that one, and it looks like the LA Valiant are going to hold for the moment.
And that was a good call from the LA Valiant. Dak used the Valkyrie and still got pushed off nearly immediately. So there wasn't a lot of time for him to get value out of that ultimate. Kareev using his Valk as well, but they're going to be sitting on a Transcendence for both Zenyatta players. And this is the test for the Shock.
Yeah.
Rebounding after a lost fight.
You know, Dak is really a Lucio specialist. I feel like we have seen him kind of struggle with the Mercy, especially with the Valk timings from time to time with this team. And this is already kind of coming back to bite them already in this first map. Nomi found, killed, disaster for San Francisco.
Yeah, right there, LA Valiant saw him and collapsed on the flank. He went in too early, so it was an easy pickoff there to start off the engagement. And now Valiant is going to be looking to hold here right on the first point. This is where Valiant was great in their last matchup.
Well, they're coming in hard right now. Dante pulls out the Dragon Blade for San Francisco, though, takes out Agilities right away. Taken down by Soon, though. Baby Bay comes in too with the Deadeye, actually. San Francisco turning this one around a little bit as Baby Bay going wild on the Hispan. Nice flashbang onto Karib, setting up the charge from Nevix, and this payload is moving.
And that's the engage they wanted last time, Doa. Get in there and try and distract them with the Dragon Blade while Baby Bay got the angle through the choke point for the big kill with the Deadeye, as we see right here, falls down from the high ground, but he's going to find people right now, and he knows they're being pushed back towards the cart.
That's right. Well, it's slightly after 4 p.m., but it might as well be high noon all the time for Baby Bay on that McCree. He doesn't care.
It certainly does not. And Nevix now pushing forward, so they're trying to open up some space. One of the things on Dorado's second point that we often see is how important high ground control is to these teams. So if you can push them off as the attacking team right at the start, make sure they can't set up there, it's a lot easier, but they managed to get up. Soon will now be swapping over to the Widowmaker.
Yep. Go. Soon trying to match. That long range hit scan. Agilities with another Dragon Blade now. Cutting away, but not really finding a whole lot of targets. Just trying to maybe get Envy out of the mech here. See what he can do.
Dak got the res onto Sleepy, so Agility's not a lot of value out of that, and they are going to re-engage. So San Francisco Shock, they saw the Dragon Blade coming in, and you saw many of the members fade away back towards the payload. And so the value there from the Dragon Blade not very high, and they re-engage immediately afterward.
You know, I like that we see Dante actually coming back a little bit. One of the issues he had in the preseason is that he would get too far forward with that Tracer, try to go for too deep of a flank and get picked off early in a lot of engagements. But looks like he's sticking with his team better.
Nice.
Speaking of sticking, there goes the Pulse Bomb. No kills from it, but he does a lot of damage to LA Valiant, forcing Envy to back off. D-Mex him now, working on that Diva as best he can, and while he does, his team takes point B.
Dante playing a lot better. That time, that's what you need to do as Tracer, is control the entrances and control the angles. Drops down from above with the Pulse Bomb, and that screwed up the entire setup from LA Valiant. Now, Valiant was not expecting to win that fight. They got their support ultimates halfway through. They didn't have anything else really to use. So this is the hold now for Valiant. They're coming in with a nice support ult advantage. No Valkyrie at the moment for the Shock.
Adrado point 3 is one of those ones you can hold. Dive coming in from Valiant right now. There's a Primal Rage for Fate. Let's see if he can disrupt people enough. Baby Bay with that Deadeye. Scatters Valiant for the moment. Valiant with a lot to also work with. Here comes one now. Agilities with that Dragon Blade. Gets one. Oh! Gets taken out before he can get any more from it. Grieve looking for maybe a chance to ult. Not needing it though, as it looks like Valiant has hold point C for the moment.
It looks like the coordination that we saw from the Valiant in the preseason has improved to now. Look at how they saved both of the support ults throughout that. They baited out the Transcendence from Sleepy with the Primal Rage from Fate. So keeping themselves in a strong position for a long hold.
Sleepy watching for those flanks. You got to be really careful, man. You're kind of a sitting duck on that Zenyatta once in a while, or a floating duck, I guess you could say. Soon, though, takes out Baby Bay with the Pulse Bomb. Good start for LA. There's the self-destruct now for Nevix, just creating a bit of zoning. Didn't get a lot of use out of that one, though.
No, that's a really low-value self-destruct. You need to remech sometimes, but there was no chance of killing anybody, and they weren't really pursuing either. So he had enough teammates in the back line. Probably should have saved that one for a little longer.
Bit of desperation there, I think, from the Nevix side of things.
Probably a slight miscommunication about the possibility of them re-engaging immediately afterwards, so he wanted to quickly remech.
True enough. Here we go. Envy trying to push him back, gets into the back line right now. Sleepy goes down early. There's a self-destruct that may be a bit more useful. Sits on the mech, gets back in just in time. Kills coming out on both sides, but Envy has a lot of pressure onto San Francisco right now. Finally getting demech, and he may have gone a little bit too far. But see if LA can keep defending.
It took them so long to get in the door. Baby Bay picks up Kareem with the Deadeye. That might be the pick that they need. Now they've at least forced their way onto the payload. Agilities has to head back towards his spawn, trying to get healed up right now. But that was a big investment from the Shock, and we're going to see Unko with a trance. So Valiant still with a strong opportunity to hold.
That's right, now it's about trying to bottle up the LA Valiant, handle those respawns as the payload has nearly gotten there. About a minute remaining for San Francisco Shock on their offensive round as LA goes in one more time. There's a stick onto Envy. He gets DMEC'd again. Good start for San Francisco. Dante making the plays. Transcendence coming in now from Unko, though, trying to keep the remainder of his team up. And Agility's coming in with another Dragon Blade. San Francisco sans Zenyatta for the moment. They lose their Tracer to Dante down, and LA may have held for the moment again.
They get that DMEC, but at least the self-destruct on the high ground. So remech immediately. It's another ult. Maybe you want to save right there. It's a hard decision because you might not be able to remech with only 45 seconds left on the clock.
Nevic's got DMEC. That's a bit of a disaster right now as time is ticking away for San Francisco.
Yeah, threw himself off the edge. One last push. No support ults for San Francisco.
Right.
And Kareem is coming up quickly on his Valkyrie right now. LA Valiant should be able to hold this one as long as Kareem doesn't die first.
It's their round to lose right now as they have those ults, especially that Mercy ult, Kareem's ult, like you mentioned. They need to make this one count. Nomi coming in, looking for that diving opportunity. He can take out the supports, it's big. Agility does go down. Kareem res him immediately. Valkyrie comes out. Nomi on the side, still zoning. They need to get the payload. Nobody touched the payload. Are you kidding me? And Valiant holds, but that is a rough way for that round to end for San Francisco.
I mean, they got bottled up in the corridor on their approach, so it's going to be really difficult for them to make it all the way there. So an attack round that does not quite complete for the San Francisco Shock, and now we will see LA Valiant move over to the attacking position. We'll see if they can get all the way through point C. But overall, I think Valiant looked a lot more confident. You can't discount the many months of experience and synergy that Fate and Agilities have had together as an aggressive diving duo. And
definitely.
That's something that was missing in the preseason, and I think they were not committing enough. So now we're seeing a lot heavier commitment to these fights, a lot more of an aggressive style out of the Valiant, and it's serving them well.
Yeah, I mean, their alternative DPS options, Silk Thread showed us a lot of great individual performances, but it's hard to beat that chemistry you get from playing with the same person for so long.
It is, and as we start this map, we are probably going to see soon on the Widowmaker, so a little bit of Widowmaker play on the attack right out of the gate.
Seems that way.
And Dante looks like he will be using the Junkrat on defense, a hero he did play in the preseason. And of course, this will be all about controlling that main choke point into point A. They also have Baby Bay once again on the McCree. So when we see the Widowmaker, they should obviously be expecting this as a possibility. Watch where they position out of the sight lines of the LA Valiant. They're going to give up a lot of ground here right at the beginning and then try and fight at the choke.
Interesting to see Dante on the Junkrat as well, where the possibility of Pharah is there for LA Valiant. We'll see how this works out. Looks like they're not going to run it for the moment.
Yeah, Valiant did run some 3 DPS compositions in the preseason, but not going to commit to that quite yet.
Here we go. Attack begins for LA Valiant. They've nearly got to push that payload all the way to take it. It's their game to win right now here on Dorado. Fate comes in for the dive on the high ground, as you see many Winstons do, putting down that shield to try to protect his DPS a bit more. Mess up some sight lines. Baby Bay with the kill onto Agilities right away. Fate goes down. So the push early, getting a little bit stuffed here for LA.
Yeah, soon did switch back over to the Tracer, so we're not going to see that Widow, and instead, that's going to allow San Francisco to play more aggressively. So they are going to be able to try and control that high ground on those first couple of buildings and see what they can get done.
Sneaky soon. Coming into the high ground, trying to put some pressure onto Dante maybe. You don't want to go into that corridor against a Junkrat though. That is rough, but he is going to loop around the outside. Oh, nearly gets hit with that right click. Sleepy was ready for him. And soon has to back off for the moment.
Yeah, creating some space though, and he's preventing them from spamming over the cart by getting around on the flank and drawing some of that fire. Soon doing a great job of pulling around the outside, but
they got it bottled up.
Baby Bay is still picking up those kills.
Agility's coming in with the Dragon Blade though. This one could be big. Gets one already. Gets denied a little bit, but LA Valiant coming out ahead big time in this fight. Looks like it was enough, and that's probably going to be a point A.
Yeah, still trying to work with it here. There is the Valkyrie still being used by Dak, but it's picked out of the sky.
You know, Battle Mercy is fun, but maybe not too effective.
There's only so much you could do when your reses have already been used and your team is dead, so might as well see if you can pick up a kill or two, maybe slow them down.
Never give up.
Yeah, never surrender.
That's right. By the Hammer of, I can't even remember anymore.
By Grabthar's hammer.
Grabthar's hammer, that's what it was. All right, I'll hand in my nerd card now. Sorry about that. Here comes the Riptire. Dante looking for some victims. Oh, Agilities finds his fate on Fury Road there. Meanwhile, Transcendence comes in for Sleepy. San Francisco Shock tried to repel the push from Valiant up on that high ground. Oh, but you can't stop the self-destructing D.Va, and he kills from that, not quite. Shock gets out of the way in a hurry. And now LA Valiant trying to continue that dive, but no luck quite yet.
Protection from the D.Va from the Winston bubble as everybody fell back behind Fate's shield, and they're still trying to push this one through. It's a pretty committed defense here from San Francisco, but it's going to cause Envy to fall all the way back to the spawn.
It's interesting to see Baby Bay on this McCree here, because yeah, we knew he was a McCree player, but we saw so much Widowmaker in the preseason. This is a pretty big right turn for this team compositionally.
Well, I think they knew they had to dimensionalize their play after they got shown up by the Spitfire, and that style of play was shut down effectively. Yeah. They're also dealing with Soon, who's one of the best tracers we have in this league, so having something that can control the flanks going to be helpful.
You know, and Soon did win a lot of those duels against Baby Bay in the preseason. Certainly something to worry about. And yeah, you're right. The old protect the Baby Bay, maybe not working too well. Here comes Agility's dash to the team. Oh, but Sleepy is ready. Nice kill on that Dragon Blading Genji. That is one ult out of the way for LA. It does force the Valk out of Dak, though.
That was not a necessary Valkyrie.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for Dak. You may have to try and get a revive off here, try and salvage the Valkyrie by pushing forward before Baby Bay can come back into this engagement, but he is going to get rezzed.
Yeah, Baby Bay, yeah, brought back up by Dak. Meanwhile, the payload moving a little bit. Soon, back up a little bit, gets behind Dante. That could be dangerous here. He gets found out. Pulse Bomb, oh, goes in for the kill on the Sleepy. Nice move there. Pulse Bomb thrown in. Did he get anybody? No, not quite. But he does get out with his life, and that's enough for the moment as the rest of his team pushes forward. And that is a pretty resounding team fight win for LA Valiant.
And that's where you want the res right now. LA Valiant falling back effectively, and then pushing back again when the support ults aren't going to be coming into play. They've got 2 now, and they have time. 4 minutes nearly.
That is a ton of time actually going into point C on Dorado. They should be feeling very good as they do not even need to finish the map. They only need to get it to that glowing mark you just saw on Fate's screen there. Fate has that Primal Rage ready to go. Or he brings Unko back up after the pick.
DPS.
That's right. All right, it's a brawl. Agility's coming in from behind. Has a Dragon Blade if he wants to use it. Pulls it out right now. Transcendence comes in though for Sleepy. San Francisco backs away methodically. Agilities only gets 1. Dante taken down immediately. Rez, and Nevix comes in with a double support kill and the D-Mech with that self-destruct. That was pretty good for San Francisco.
Yeah, it sure was. Valiant on the attack. So we saw them in the preseason. This is where they struggled. Half the team would go in, half the team wouldn't. The blade, when it was pulled out, was during the Transcendence as we look at this replay. So not a lot of damage that can go through. That's a cleanup self-destruct on the backside.
Snuck it around the corner there.
Indeed.
Agilities with the dash kill on Dante right away. Both DPS down for San Francisco Shock. Got a nice start, really nice start for Valiant actually. That payload is gonna move.
Once Nevix falls, there we go. And no support ults up for anybody. Unko creeping up. Envy has a self-destruct to create some room. Can Baby Bay find a good angle here?
I mean, if you're San Francisco right now, you need to get back there in a hurry, man. That payload is nearly there. A few meters away. Agilities maintaining his presence on the high ground for the moment.
Yeah, just building up, trying to pop over the wall with the wall climb and throw some shurikens. Is getting very close, and those are 2 big pickoffs.
No kidding, man. Sleepy comes in. Dak with no Valkyrie just yet. Envy has that zoning prime. Doesn't even need it, man. That is the end of it. And LA Valiant will take the first map here on opening day for the Overwatch League.
Indeed, it wasn't the cleanest at the end. You can see they still need to get a better sense of coordination, understanding when their opponents have ultimates up so they can bait them out prior to committing their own. But overall, that was pretty convincing.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. It was a good place to start from. I like the adaptability, too, that we saw from San Francisco Shock in terms of moving Baby Bay over. We're going to take a quick break, guys. So when we come back, map 2, don't miss it.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Intel and Omen by HP.
trouble.